Guys, Bridget here, and in this video we're going to talk about colors, color styles, and color variables in Figma, especially in relation to the design systems, because this is actually one of the topics which you're going to need to know about, especially when you're planning out design systems for startups and enterprise clients like the one that I worked with for the past decade. So I'm trying to distill all of the knowledge, especially the 80/20, so what you really need to focus and worry about. Now we're here on this design file, which is a system which I'm working on, and I'm going to release especially the first part for free. But basically what's going on from a high level, before we jump into the color styles and all those fancy elements, you wanted to focus on the primary colors as the very first element, because what you're going to notice in a lot of these large design systems, you're going to have all sorts of different color styles, and they look kind of overwhelming at first, but basically what you want to do is whenever you're first starting out working on a client project, is you want to focus on the most important colors, which are going to be the brand colors, which can be between one and three main brand colors based on my experience. So you're going to either have a primary, maybe secondary, maybe tertiary, and then you're going to go on with what I believe are going to be the main color pillars for pretty much any brand. So positive, warning, critical, UI states. So these are going to be pretty much common throughout any brand, as well as slate, which is fancy gray, essentially with a touch of a blue. So that's going to be some of the things that you want to consider when you're first starting out in your color journey. And then you're going to have secondary colors, which are going to be all sorts of different other colors that you might use throughout the design project. And this usually is a part that starts small, and then you're going to essentially increase the amount of secondary colors as you're working on the project. So just to sum it up, you can start small with just the main primary colors and then add the secondary colors later on. So one resource which I highly recommend you to check out is Design Systems for Figma. Now, this is a website which essentially is a collection of free design systems of major brands. So you can literally have a pick at how the pros and the largest companies are working with design systems. So you can literally go ahead and, for example, I can open the Airtable UI kit, and I can learn how their design team is actually approaching elements such as colors in their design system. And you can literally learn from the giants. So this is definitely a place which I highly recommend you to check out and use as a reference. And then when it comes to creating the different types of shades, one recommendation that I have is to use a shade generator. So whenever I'm creating like these different variations of a single color, I'm not just going into Figma and then basically utilizing the custom color and going into lighter or darker variations as I'm creating these. But basically what I'm doing is, for the very most part, I'm going to go in a website like this one right here, where you have color shades generator. Now this is by ColorKit, but you can go on Google and look for color shades generator, and you're going to find a whole bunch of them. And as you can see, you can create different shades, and then you can copy the tints and the shades directly from here, so that you can have it well organized and having all of these colors following a scientific method, if you wish. So everything is going to be neat and organized. Then once that is done, you can actually go ahead and start creating the color styles, which is actually quite simple. Now, the color styles, what I'm referring to is essentially the library where you're going to be able to have all of the different type of shades and tints of the different colors that you have. So these are neatly organized, for example, over here in primary, and then you can see that all of these are going to be organized by ascending or descending order, and you can easily just switch them up in the effects. Also see them right here under the styles. So for example, I can modify the location of one and I can also rename them. Now, in order to create a color style, it's actually quite simple. So I'm going to create a rectangle and I'm going to give it just a blue color, just so we can see it clearly. And at this point, what you want to do is to click on Apply Styles and Variables, which is this icon right here. And as you're going to be able to see, we have the libraries again, and you want to click on plus. And this is going to enable you to add, first of all, the collection. So I just have one collection, so this is going to be quite straightforward. And the name is actually important because if you use blue slash 100, and I'm going to just name it blue X, you can see that the moment that I create the color style, you simply want to click on the plus icon. And as you're going to see, this window is going to open up. Now we're going to select style if it's not already selected by default. And what I can do over here is to name the color. So I'm going to name it blue X, and then I'm going to use slash 100. Now, the reason why we're using this slash is because it's going to create a hierarchy, just like the one that we're seeing here. So all of these purples that are the primary colors, I basically named them primary and then slash and then 950, 900, 800, and so on and so forth. So basically this is going to, this slash, it's going to enable you to create all of the different subcategories of that one single color. So I'm going to create the style, and just for reference, I'm going to, I believe it's, yeah, right at the bottom. And as you can see, just what I mentioned is we're going to have the blue X as the title, as the folder, the container, and then 100 is going to be this color style. Now, if we do this again, and I'm simply going to duplicate this, and as you can see, I cannot change the fill anymore in order to create this other variation. So what you want to do is to detach the style, because this is essentially telling us that we now have this color associated to a style. So if I detach the style, I'm going to be able to have the option which we're all familiar with, and it's the default option. So what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to click over here, and I'm going to basically click on a new style or variable, and I'm going to write blue X slash 200, and I'm simply going to change the color just so we can have a little bit of variety. I'm going to click on create style, and as you see at the very bottom, we now have blue X with these two different styles. Now, these styles aren't set in stone. You can very easily change the properties by simply right-clicking or clicking here on the edit style. And as you can see, we have this menu option again, and I can set maybe another color, for example. And at this point, we can very easily adjust this in the color style system. So all of this is quite easy to undo or edit. So that's going to be when it comes to the color styles. Now there's another element which is the color variables, which you can add in a few different ways. You can go under the variables and you can click on the plus, create color variables, and I'm going to click on color. And at this point, I can simply add the value or even sample it with the eyedropper tool. And I'm going to have it right here. But another way that you can do this is you basically had the opportunity to add the variables directly from here. So you can click on plus and you're going to have this two options, styles or variables. And you can select the variable if you just simply want to add the variable. And you're going to select the collection. And just one moment as we do this again. And you can select, of course, the name. So I'm going to write blue x slash 100. And I'm going to click on create variable. The same logic is going to apply for the variables. So even in this case, as I am doing this for the other blue, just for convenience, I'm duplicating it. But basically, if I'm going to click on plus and then go on variable, blue x slash 200, and I create the variable, you can see that we have blue x 100 and blue x 200. So it's pretty straightforward. And overall, it's quite easy to work with these styles. Then you can do all sorts of different things, and it's going to make the work easier and more streamlined on your behalf, especially as you're scaling up projects and designs for larger companies. Usually, color styles and variables aren't as useful if you're creating a very small scoped project for maybe like a new company. Maybe you're doing an MVP, but if you're working on enterprise level solutions, these tools are absolutely mandatory, and they're going to help you save so much time for both you and the large teams that you're working with. So if you have any questions regarding these color styles and variables, feel free to leave them in the comment section and I'll get back to you, and I'll see you in the very next video.